question, several books came to mind, as well as a few memories of my mother tucking me in and reading bedtime stories before I could fall asleep. Sometimes even having my imagination go wild with the story as I dream. Now, as an adult, I appreciate those memories greatly, but just as you realize that Christmas is less magical than when you were a kid, reading the same stories you heard way back when may result in different feelings than before. Realizing that the characters with magical powers really had some deeper meaning or moral to them helped instill some important values in me from an early age. I was always told to tell the truth, no matter how large or small the fib was. I knew it wasn't the right thing to do, and that it could even cause harm to people who deserved to hear the truth. The old fable, Mercury and the Woodman by Aesop, is a classic tale of how it can really be beneficial to be honest. I have prided myself on always being honest, even if it doesn't benefit me, because at the end of the day, I know it's the right thing to do, just as this story illustrates. Mercury and the Woodman. A poor woodman was cutting down a tree near the edge of a deep pool in the forest. It was late in the day, and the woodman was tired. He had been working since sunrise, and his strokes were not so sure as they had been early that morning. Thus it happened that the axe slipped and flew out of his hands into the pool. The woodman was in despair. The axe was all he possessed with which to make a living, and he had not money enough to buy a new one. As he stood, wringing his hands and weeping, the god Mercury suddenly appeared and asked what the trouble was. The woodman told what had happened, and straightway the kind Mercury dived into the pool, and when he came up again, he held a wonderful golden axe. "Is this your axe?" Mercury asked the woodman. "No," answered the honest woodman, "that is not my axe." Mercury laid the golden axe on the bank and sprang back into the pool. Just as he brought up an axe of silver, but the woodman declared again that his axe was just an ordinary one with a wooden handle. Mercury dived down for the third time, and when he came up again, he had the very axe that had been lost. The poor woodman was very glad his axe had been found, and could not thank the kind god enough. When Mercury was greatly pleased with the woodman's honesty, he said, "I admire your honesty, and as a reward, you may have all three axes, the gold and the silver, as well as your own." The happy woodman returned to his home with his treasures, and soon the story of his good fortune was known to everybody in the village. Now there were several woodmen in the village who believed they could easily win the same fortune. They hurried out into the woods, one here, one there, and hiding their axes in the bushes, pretended they had lost them. When they wept and wailed and called on Mercury to help them. And indeed, Mercury did appear, first to this one, then to that. To each one, he showed an axe of gold, and each one eagerly claimed it to be the one that he had lost. But Mercury did not give them the golden axe. Oh no. Instead, he gave them each a hard whack over the head with it and sent them home. And when they returned the next day to look for their own axes, there were nowhere to be found. I've never received an axe made out of a precious metal from a mythical god, but I can definitely relate to the woodman's honesty. Even when he could have told Mercury that the axe of gold was his, he stayed true to his morals and didn't take what he knew didn't belong to him. I always try my best to stay true to what I know is morally right, even if being honest would mean taking the less popular path and standing alone. Honesty is truly the best policy, even if certain actions would mean going out of your way, requiring more time or energy, or if they would never be seen or rewarded by others. The sense of self-pride is a colossal reward in itself.